All right, we are back live again. Let's wait for some few people to come in. Oh, there we have people joining us. Hey guys, and welcome to this week's edition of In the Spotlight. I'm Rohit, and thank you for joining us. For those who don't know what In the Spotlight is basically a session that we do every Friday where we talk to one successful owner. Uh, and Yeah, so that's about it about In the Spotlight. For those who have joined us again this week, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this sessions with us over the past few weeks that we've been doing this. It's great to see all you guys. Good to see a lot of new people. Good to see a lot of new followers as well as all the old ones. All right. So moving on. In today's week of In the Spotlight, we have one of the most successful women entrepreneurs that has been part of our business for quite some time now, and she's going to be talking about what does entrepreneurship and what does it mean to be an entrepreneur in this COVID era. So, without any further ado, let us bring on our guest for tonight, for this evening actually. Okay, let's wait for her to join in.
Hi
Hi, Greg.
Rohit, how are
Hi, how are
you?
you?
I'm good. How are
I'm
you,
good. I'm
buddy?
good. All good. All good. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for joining us and agreeing to do this with us.
Thank you for
Uh,
letting me be part of this. And I have a very, very interesting topic. So we're talking about entrepreneurship and what it is like being an entrepreneur in the COVID-19 era,
Correct.
right? So I think a lot of people, Rohit, are looking at COVID as a crisis, especially when it comes to running a business. But I think for me, it's been more like a blessing in disguise, and it has actually allowed me, and I think it has allowed a lot of companies to even reassess, the strategy and the game. So no doubt about it that a lot of companies and a lot of entrepreneurs and the societies are facing a lot of unprecedented challenges, and there's no denying to that. But I think more than anything else, I think what we need to understand is that there is an impact, but I think there is also a good side to it. I think there's a lot of learning that we've received over these last 3-4 months since we've been
Correct.
working from home, and I have been reading a lot as to that. There's so many startups. In fact, there are more than 70% startups who had to terminate, permanent contracts. A lot of their employees, and this is not a hidden fact. But if you look at it, the online industry, or when you look at food industry, or when you look at any of these digital based industries, right? I think they have been booming at the moment. But it is
Correct.
not the same if you are part of a hotel industry, or if you're part of restaurant or retail or entertainment or business like ours, which is entirely into direct selling, right? I think these industries have taken the situation and this opportunity to innovate, right? And get more into the digitalization aspect, right? And I think a lot of businesses, what I believe, have also started pivoting, to a lot of new needs, whether it's, needs from, looking at from the client's perspective, or, looking at the products and the services that we're working with. I think we all have started working on a whole different tangent. And also, I think, people who are part of these sector who've actually got affected, due to this crisis, I think we all are mentally even prepared to lose 70 to 80% of our turnover as well as our valorization, right? And I'm sure there are a lot of businesses that I think we're all aware of that have taken a hit. But nevertheless, I think there are some good news as well. I think number one is, I think entrepreneurs are fighters, and I think we all agree with that, right? I think we all have been taught from day one to be very, very optimistic, because that's the first thing that I learned when I started in this business. And the kind of industry that I started working in, which was very much into uh, you know it was so much linked to the consumers, that I think that one thing that I learned is how to be very, very resilient, right? Because
Correct.
the no aspect that we learned in this business, how to handle rejection, or how do you handle no. I think that has taught us how to get immune to the word negative itself, immune to the word no itself. I think that has made us very, very resilient. I think we have overcome a lot of difficult phases, and this is also one of the difficult period, but it's in our DNA to bounce back. So definitely, I think one thing as entrepreneurs that we have always been doing is we always have learned to sail through, the difficult times, right? And no crisis, crisis is not limitless. This is not a permanent crisis. There is going to be an end to this, and at the end, the entrepreneurs can always undertake something new. I think the basic reminder for every entrepreneur who's watching, this right now would be that there are three things that require you to keep your business sustainable and profitable at the same time. I think number one would be ensuring that you keep working on building cash flow. I think number one would be money. I think that's something which is the number one asset that you need to look into. Very, very important for you to have access to capital. Number two is expertise, right? Your know-how, right? Or a specific expertise. And number three would be your team, your people, right? So if you try to break this down, and let's go step by step, let's look at money, right? Which is the number one asset, right? I think we need to keep playing to win and not play to survive, right? What most people are trying to do is everybody is trying to survive rather than trying to win. Everybody is trying to survive. But if you manage to survive at the same time, right, while trying to win, you'll prepare for the day after the crisis exit, right? So if you try to break this down further, the first thing what we need to accept is the fact that the old methods don't work anymore, right? Like whatever we did in the past, we need to accept that the business plan is now completely irrelevant, right? It's outdated, and then we need to prepare and plan for the worst case scenario, right? We all need to face that reality. I think a lot of people are now still they're still kind of living in the past, of how business was in the past. And I think a lot of people are still waiting for crisis to end, and then we can go back to living the past, and then everything can go back to normal. I think we need to accept the fact that this is the new normal. I don't think people are still accepting that this is going to be the new normal. And when I say this is going to be the new normal, it doesn't mean that we are going to only be at home and working remotely all our life. But I think at least for the next, I think for good, 12 to 18 months, I think at least I have mentally prepared myself that this is how I'm going to be working, right? So I have also asked myself a few questions like, what was my situation at the beginning of this year in 2020 when I started? Was I in a good shape, not in a good shape? I also need to look at, okay, where I'm going to be in the third and the fourth quarter this year, and how much do I need in cash today, and how much do I need to keep my business afloat or alive over the next 12 to 18 months, right? Which I've accepted that I'm going to be working from home. Also, I need to have a plan for the first quarter of 2021. So I think these are a few questions as entrepreneur. You need to really sit down and really think about it. Okay, where did you start and where you are at the moment? What's your plan for the third and the fourth quarter? And what are you going to do in the first quarter 2021? And how much cash do you really need to stay afloat over the next 12 months and 18 months? And look at all the possible funding that you can get, or sources from where you can get your revenue. That's number one. The second action would be building your cash flow, like ensuring that you're taking your expenses into consideration, you're looking into your revenue sources. And I think you'll agree with it that cash is the key, right? I think it's time for everybody to really review all our expenses, all the non-essential expenses. I think you need to really cut down all those non-essential expenses to reduce your cash burnout rate. And you need to make sure that your company is getting much leaner, and all the cost, which are fixed cost, you got to turn that around and make it all variable, so that you have enough cash flow in your account, and that way it can help you become more agile. I think that's one thing. Even like there are a lot of multiple costs, like there are sometimes unnecessary costs, like there are marketing costs, there are there are different kind of costs that we have. Like in our business, I can tell you that I have saved a lot of money over the last 4 and 5 months. I think, and then I kind of realized that I did end up spending a lot of money on things which were so unnecessarily. Like I could have done in a better way, and I could have saved a lot more money and yet have been more productive, right? And I think that's one thing that this lockdown has taught me, and this crisis has taught me that that's very, very important to manage your money. Also, you got to look at pinpoint and look after your revenue sources. Like for example, for us, we get paid in 3 months arena. Like we have a weekly pay structure, so I need to also ensure that that I'm tracking all the payments, of my team and everybody, and ensuring that the payments are faster from our clients. So I think these are a few things that as an entrepreneur you can start looking into. The third thing is looking at, where you can access your capital from. So again, you got to calculate what are the potential risks, right? And at the same time, validate with your partners and or your investors, like, and see whether they can help you, right? In case if you need money, right? And secure your funding in whatever way possible, right? So that you can see yourself stay alive over the next coming few months. Few things over here with, I think, as I said, like, don't wait for the crisis to end, because this is something which is not in our control, right? It's not something that we are in control of, or, we are responsible for this. So I think what everybody is doing is waiting for the end of the crisis. And I think it's important that we take a lot of immediate actions. That's number one. Number two is start positioning your company from a growth perspective. Take this downturn as an opportunity to improve your systems, improve your training methods, improve the way how you teach your people. In fact, for me, I think I have been able to spend more time in developing a lot of new training strategies now, because I'm getting a lot of time, because earlier I would spend about 2 hours, 3 hours a day only in traveling, right? And now I'm getting that much time. So I'm able to spend that much time in formulating a lot of new methods and a lot of new training methods that's helping me train my people better, make their life easier. So I think definitely this is you need to turn around this downturn into an opportunity for you to come up with a lot of new fundamentals and better systems and training methods for your team. And the second thing, as I said, is your expertise, right? And look at where you can improve yourself. Take this as an opportunity for you to develop your training methods and make your systems a lot more stronger. So I think every entrepreneur needs to start really, like, you need to have a diary and a pen, and you sit every day and you need to write down everything. And like I've been doing that, I've been planning my sessions, and I try and write down as much as possible and see, okay, what is that thing that's going to help me improve my sales averages, what's going to help me improve my recruitment methods, what's going to help me improve my retention, what's going to help me improve my team building process, what's going to help me develop more senior leadership in my company, what's going to help me make life of my owners much easier. So you got to really sit down and work on all of these things, so that will also help you develop your own skills. I think this is also one way where you can actually sit down and work towards developing your own skills, because as entrepreneurs we spend so much time in training and developing other people that sometimes we forget that we also need the training, we also need to also work on our own skills. So I think this is the best time for us to work on our own personal development. I think that's one thing definitely I think every entrepreneur should start doing. And there are a lot of platforms where you can get some beautiful content, some beautiful, topics, and a lot of things that you can learn about businesses. And like, I don't need to really tell those platforms. I think everybody is pretty aware about. But the thing is, like, when you're sitting at home and you're working remote, there's so many distractions around you. You do end up, ending your day, and the productivity level is so much, but you had so much time in hand. So I think it's really important to discipline ourselves, right? And that's what I've been doing. Like, I have set this new routine wherein I want to wake up every day in the morning at 6. And first thing I want to do is I want to just go for a run for half an hour, because that just wakes me up. Or just take, a nice cold shower in the morning, because that just really wakes me up. And then I want to start working. I don't start my work without doing all of this, because these things actually help me. It just wakes me up in the morning. It just helps me take better decisions. So I think it's very, very important to set a routine, and I think that will be important, because again, as I said, your third asset, and this is the most important asset as an entrepreneur that you have is your people. Like it goes without saying that your people are your biggest assets, right? Like you don't build a company alone. You build people, and then people help you build a business. So you need to also start reimagining, your new future and the way of working. And I think this is the time wherein our teammates need to be really more committed, in order to see themselves go through this phase. And one of the most important thing is communication. I think what most people do is when you're working from home, there's very limited, communication, with your teammates. And I think this is a very, very crucial time. You need to have daily communication and reduce as much as possible, the uncertainty, because that will help your team also work. They'll also be very, very relieved when they're working. And now is the time for you to ensure that your team is relieved and they shouldn't be stressed out and going like, okay, what is my future going to be like working from home, right? Because people see the way how people are going to go through the crisis and the way the emotions are going to run, it's going to be different. Everybody is having very different experience in this crisis. The way how I am experiencing this phase is very different. The way how you're experiencing, the way how other people are experiencing. So I think it's very, very important to understand that one, that your conversation with your people have to be very, very honest, right? Also make sure that you're also talking about the future. Like you need to be able to create a vision for your people, right? And I know it's difficult because sometimes people go like, I don't know when this crisis is going to end, so how do I create a vision for my company and for my people? And this is where we go wrong. When we started with zero guys, and when we had nothing, we had nil, we still had a vision. And we,
Correct.
we 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 worked on a vision, and we built a team from there, right? And now if there's a crisis, you still have a team. At least that you don't have a team. So I always go like that. Even if I have 10 people in my office right now, I still have a team. I think I still need to look after them, right? I still need to ensure that these guys are been given a learning platform. And it's difficult because as an entrepreneur, you have to keep yourself together all the time. But that's what the price every entrepreneur pays. Like we do go through our set of emotions, but we cannot display those emotions, in front of our guys, right? Because we always say it's about, what you say. You got to, you got to practice what you preach, right? Now, if I tell my people that you need to stay positive, you need to be patient, and you need to be, you need to keep yourself calm and everything, then if I don't apply that on myself, then how that works? So I think it's very, very important to have constant communication with your guys. And more than that, I think it's very, very important that as young entrepreneurs, we need to also start connecting with other entrepreneurs to get a lot of ideas, because everybody has some strategy that's working for them at the moment. So you need to start connecting with other entrepreneurs also, and look at what strategy is working for them. Like yesterday, we had a call with one of the entrepreneurs from Hyderabad, and he gave us some beautiful points, and I actually kind of implemented that today. And guess what? It just really helped me a lot. I actually can see the difference today in my team performance. So I think it's very, very important to not isolate. This is not the time to isolate. I think this is the time to really, communicate and tag along with other people, and work together as a team. And very important is to having a structure, while you're working from home. Because if you don't have a structure and you're just going to be working, just because you have to wake up in the morning, or just because you have to be on the calls, or just because you have to do this, it's just not going to work. It took me some time to settle in, working with the whole concept of working from home, because there are just so many distractions around, because most of the guys live with the families, and Bombay has been the worst hit. I have not got a chance to even go to my office even one day. So, we all have been working from home. So I think it's very, very important to have a structure in place. And equally, it's important that you also communicate this with your family members, wherein they know that you're going to be working from so and so time, and then you're free between so and so time, and then again you're going to be working from so and so time. So that what tends to happen is they're not aware what time you're going to be working, and then they expect you to do something, and then you're in the middle of something, and it
Correct.
just leads to, like your personal and your business, it all gets mixed. So I think it's very, very important for you to have that communication and have a structure for yourself, wherein you're not burning yourself out. You're also giving yourself a lot of, you give yourself those breaks during the day, but at the same time having a dedicated, time slot for your business. That from so and so time, this is my business hours, and create a work work environment in your own room, wherever you want to do it, right? Like you need to have an environment wherein, this is my workspace, because that will really help you focus. I think that's one thing, and this will all come down. This will all boil down to being more, disciplining your mind, because this is all got to do with what you feed your mind. If you discipline your mind and you tell yourself that this is what I have to do, you might get a little deviated, here and there, but that's okay. That's happening to everybody. But it's all about you telling yourself that, okay, I'm again getting deviated. I need to realign myself, and I need to reassess myself, recoup myself, get my alignment back, or get my focus back. I think I think this is something that I have been practicing on a day-to-day basis. And other thing is like compartmentalizing your work, like, giving priority to things which are, your high-end activities, like activities which are going to give you maximum productivity. Try and align those activities in the first half, because I'm the most active in the first half. I'm the least, active, in the second half. So I want to like do all the activities which are going to give me maximum productivity in the first half of the day, because that's how I have scheduled my day, and it really works for me. So you figure out what really works for you. What time are you high on energy, or if you feel that first half you're more high on energy, because that should be the scenario with everybody, then try and align most of the activities in the first half which are going to give you maximum productivity, and activities which don't really give you a lot of productivity, which are low productive activities, try and align them for the later half of the day. So I think these are few things that as an entrepreneur we can do. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, if anybody has any question, we can do
Okay. The question
quick
from
Q and
the
N.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So before I get the question with the audience, I want to understand from you. So basically, I've been talking to a lot of the people that are assistant owners, basically, and
yeah,
crew leaders that have been, started the criteria, especially the assistant owners,
yeah,
and the COVID-19 affected their criteria on a big scale, So
yeah.
how are you able to manage that for your team, and how is your, how is it that you've been handling that thing for your people?
So I think from day one I've always taught my people, Rohit, not to work from a criteria. And I'm not saying that criteria is not important. It is important, and everybody works really hard to meet those criterias and see themselves scaling ahead. And I totally understand that it's very, very important. But uh, I think what I've really taught my people is to not really look at the criteria as, okay, you need to put 10 guys, or you got to have 15 guys, and then you can see yourself start running your own business, right?
Right, because
There's a
at this point of
difference. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sorry,
Go
because
on.
at this point of what has happened is a lot of the people, a lot of their team players have started leaving, unsure as to
Yeah,
what's going to happen in the future. I don't know how much of this is, when is this going to get, when is this going to
yeah,
get over? That's where a
yeah,
lot of people have lost their teams, and that is where they have like, okay, I was almost on the verge, I was
yeah,
almost there, and
yeah.
so how do you tell them to handle the situation?
I think the best way to handle the situation is, I think one thing that I tell my people is look at the long term and never look at the short term. I think it's very, very important to understand that if you're diving into running a business, then you need to understand that you do a business for life. You don't do business for a short run, right? If
Correct.
you've joined the company just to do a criteria or put 10 guys or 15 guys and that was your ultimate goal, then I think you're in the wrong business. Because that's not running a business. Then you're just a franchisee owner, right? Running a set of team. But if you're doing this business, then always look at from building an organization. Always look at developing more and more people. Why should you settle for 15 when you can have 150, or when you can have 200, or when you can have 500, or when you can have 1,000 people? There are entrepreneurs in the world who are running their organizations with thousands and thousands of people. And here, when we lose one guy or two guy, if you're going to get disappointed, then I think you really misconstrued the whole concept of being an entrepreneur, because that's not real entrepreneurship is, right? And I understand that there's a crisis, but there could be a crisis even 10 years after. So probably we have not experienced this, right? The generation that, I'm talking about my generation, probably my generation has never experienced, a crisis like this before. So for us, this is something that we're learning how to deal with this for the first time. But it's good that we're learning, because this can happen again. Maybe 10 years from now, there could be another crisis. And this has taught us how to be prepared for that. There could be another corona, who knows, right? So I think the thing that I think I would, advise all the assistant owners and guys who are doing the criteria, who are that close to getting into ownership, and now you feel that you're stuck. You're not stuck, it's in your mind. Nobody gets stuck. As much as you feel that you still have an opportunity to, work from home. We've come up with criterias, the new process that we have adapted to, we've come up with criterias. You can still see yourself, building your crew from there and getting promoted, right? So I think if you're feeling stuck, I think it's all here because you've told yourself that I'm stuck. Nobody has made you feel that you're stuck, or nobody is telling you that, okay, you know what, that now your criteria is gonna get hampered. I understand a little bit, in between, when initially when we were transitioning into this new process from direct marketing to tele advertising, it obviously took a little bit time for people to settle in that process. But I think every business has gone through that. It's not that only our business has gone through that transition. I think every business in this world has gone through that transition. If it was only us, then I also would have felt bad. But it's not only us. There's so many businesses that have gone through that transition, right? And I think you need to be mature enough to understand that this is something which is this is a kind of a crisis that is not something that has been created by us, right? There are a lot of countries, like US has gone through an economic depression, right? It's not something that people could control. If it is something that it was in our control, then we could have taken necessary steps and action, right? But this is something which is not in our control. Getting frustrated over it and going like, okay, why this is happening, something that you're not in control of, it just doesn't make sense. And that talks a lot about the person, because you're not handling it responsibly. You need to be mature enough in the situation and go like, I have invested, let's say I've spent 18 months in building my team, and I've come to a position now where I have all the expertise. I have the experience of training people. I have the experience in sales. I have the experience of building a team. I have an experience of working with 15, 20 guys. Do I want to throw all of that away just because I couldn't meet a criteria, or just because I couldn't get promoted?
Or also because I
So
had a lot
I
of
hope you
people.
understand this. I hope you understand this. So I think the point here is, it's all about you. It's all about you telling yourself that this is again something which is very, very temporary in nature. But while this is happening, I need to make the most of what's available to me at the moment, because that's what entrepreneurs do. You got to make most of what is with you at the moment, and that's what we all are doing, right? So I think that's the kind of mindset that people need to have, and you need to kind of build that DNA to understand that if you are really wanting to run a business, if you really want to see yourself running a business in the long run, right? Or if you want to see yourself running a business for a long term, then you need to have this mindset to not get affected by hurdles like these, because this can happen again in different forms. Like right now, this is something which is completely not in our control. But there could be
Correct.
a financial depression also. There could be a lot of other crises that can come in different forms, right? But that's exactly what the price you pay, right, to run a business. And it's not that only that employers are facing that. A lot of people who are doing jobs, a lot of them are facing a lot of there are a lot of effects on people who are doing jobs right now, right? And they all are handling that in a different way. In fact, I've seen a lot of people becoming more creative after losing jobs. I've seen people who lost their jobs going back to starting businesses, having small side hustle from home. A lot of people have got into a lot of different things. Like I have seen around in my own network, a lot of people who've lost their jobs, but they did not sit at home and cry. They were being an opportunist. They looked out for ways and methods how they can still make some bucks. So I think the advice for all the guys who are doing the criteria is that I think you need to start looking at the business from a long-term perspective, and look at from building an organization and not just doing a criteria, right? Because criteria will start and criteria will end, but your vision of running a business, that should never end, because that's what was one of the reason why you started in the business.
So we got a
So
question
I hope
from
that helps.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that we got a question from Rima T113, who says,
Okay.
now that our education system is going to change completely, so
Yeah.
in the future, do future entrepreneurs need to look in a different way because target base is going to change, also going to be different?
I think it will, because I think for me what I feel is now I think IT is going to definitely take over. Digital platform is definitely going to take over. So I think for us, even as an entrepreneur, we need to start getting more equipped to understanding the all these sectors, especially the digital aspect. Like for me, I have never been comfortable using online platform to do interviews or whatever, right? But I had to learn how to do all of that. So I think with time, I think we all need to evolve, right? I think we all need to look at what's going to be the new platform which is going to help us generate revenue. And I think digital is definitely one of the ways. IT is again, it's a booming sector. Food industry is definitely is a booming sector. So I think for me, I don't have an option now to go back to doing an MBA again, right? But I can see myself developing more knowledge and building new skills by using different platforms. And there are different platforms and tools that I can use to improve my skills and my knowledge. And I think in the future, we need to reassess and reevaluate our strategies and ways how we're going to run a business. So definitely we can't go back to using the old methods. It will definitely not work. So there's a saying like old ways will never open new doors. And I think one thing that I've learned in this lockdown is that I can't even lay all my eggs in one basket. You need to have multiple sources of revenue and income. You can't rely on just one. So
Correct.
definitely, yeah, I don't know whose question was that, but I think it is important to if you're looking at running a business, I think definitely you need to start working on building skills which will match to the new era which is going to come now, which is going to be the post-COVID scenario.
So we got a couple questions from Akshay, Kapil, and I think this is, if you can read this as well. What is the one non-work thing that has made you successful?
One non-work thing. I think one non-work thing is besides I think I have paid a lot of attention to fitness, because I believe that if you're physically fit, you're mentally fit, and I think it just allows you to think better. It allows you to take better decisions. So I think one thing that I've really focused on is health. And I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs really pay attention to that, because they always look at go like that we're always working. We don't really have time to pay attention to our fitness or our health, and they end up indulging in a lot of activities which are very, very unhealthy. So I think one thing that is non-work thing that has made me successful is definitely me paying a lot of attention to my health. So I do indulge in a lot of yoga. I do go regularly for run, and I think that's something that really helps me make a lot of decisions. So yeah, definitely I think that's Akshay's question, but I don't know if that helps, Akshay. I think it helps.
Manideep, who asked this 5 days ago, for 5 days now, I'm not getting any results. I'm giving, even though I'm giving quality presentations to people.
Manage your data a lot more effectively. I think, what I've been doing is I've been always telling my people that when you start your day, always make sure that when you're starting your day, you need to have 75 fresh names in your data sheet, because it's very, very important to tap, the fresh customers. What we tend to do is we're always reworking, and we're trying to somehow get the results from them. That's one thing. Second thing is what's really working is taking a lot of references. That's something which I started doing. I think you need to really get good with taking references and also doing your follow-ups. A lot of time we don't do those follow-ups, and we miss out on a lot of opportunity to take references. But I think that will definitely help you, because what people need right now is people need more credibility. People need people need to trust you, and that's why people will buy from you, right? So to build that trust or to create that credibility, I think it's very, very important that one thing is you understand your product really well, what you're selling, because 99% I've seen, like when people are people are selling something, they themselves are not aware what they're selling, or probably they have half information. They don't have 100% information of what they're selling. So if you're getting a question coming in from a consumer, and you're unable to answer that, what I mean, that's where you actually lose the trust. That's where the person goes like, okay, what, I can't really trust this person, because if you're the brand ambassador, you're representing any product or any service, and if you don't know yourself what you're selling, how do you expect the consumer to invest in it? Because you're the medium at that point. You're the medium, and if you need to be sure about what you're selling, when you're uncertain, the consumer automatically becomes very uncertain. So read and understand what you're selling. You need to have all the information in place. That's one thing. Second thing is really working on your impulses and your impacts, because that's something which again helps you create that kind of that trust, right? Because I personally believe that people never buy because of logical reasons. I think people buy because of emotional reason. But for people to buy even for an emotional reason, you need to be able to get the consumer to connect with the product or the cause or the service or whatever you're selling, right? If you can't get the person to connect with that, if you don't believe in what you're selling, you can't get the consumer to believe in your product as well. So very, very important that you don't apply only a logic every time when you're trying to sell something. Also give an emotional aspect to it, but believe in what you're selling. And the third thing is having the faith in the system. I personally believe in that the sales will go up and sales will go down, but your belief in the system should be very, very consistent. It has to be, it cannot be that one day you believe in it and one day you don't believe in it, right? When your belief is only inconsistent, your results also are going to be inconsistent, right? So you can always apply a few tricks and a few tactics in terms of how you can you can better your turnaround ratio. But I think all of that is good, but if you don't have the right mentality with which you're doing it, right, and if your mindset itself is not right before you actually start talking to people, I think that will have an impact on your outcome. That will have an impact on your sales numbers. So it's very, very important that when you're making those calls and when you're calling your prospects, it's very essential that you have the right mindset before you start making those calls. So I think that's I think a couple of tips that I can give them.
Okay. There is one from, I think, why our business works more on motivation rather than showing them practically, especially leaders.
I don't think the business works more on motivation. So I'm sorry, what's the question here? Why our business works more on motivation rather than showing them practically? I don't know why this person feels that the business works more on motivation. Motivation is important, and it has to be backed with a lot of action. But without any execution, without you actually executing anything, you can't just keep somebody just motivated and expect the person to grow in the business, right? So motivation is good, but it's very temporary in nature. I cannot motivate my people. I can just guide my people. I never try to motivate my people. I always try to get them, to understand the purpose by which, why they're doing this business. I just make them realize why they joined the business. That's all I do. But I don't try to motivate my people a lot. I'm not very good motivator, but I think I'm a very, very practical person myself. Whenever I train my people, I think my trainings are more mechanical than, motivation. Because I think if your process is only not right, how is the motivation going to lead you anywhere alone, right? So motivation is good if you're motivated, but that's one day. One day you'll be very, very motivated and you get some phenomenal results. And the other day you're not motivated and then you don't get any results. So I think motivation is nothing but having the right purpose. You need to have your why very, very clear. If your why is very, very clear, then you're automatically motivated to do anything in life. Like a lot of people who join this business, the why is not clear. That am I here to, do my skills training, or am I here to become an entrepreneur? Am I here to learn sales? Am I here to learn recruitment? Your why has to be very, very clear. If your why is clear, you don't need any motivation. You'll be self-motivated. You don't need 10 people to come and motivate you, right? Then all you got to do is work on your mechanics and work on the process, because the process is what gets you the result. Motivation is I think only 10%.
Correct.
So yeah, I don't know if that answers that person's question, but
Okay. This is a question based on a lot of interactions that I've had, and a lot of questions that have come up from a lot of the people that I've been speaking to, where
yeah,
they're talking about a lot of the times people are facing challenges with telesales. Now,
yeah.
in the sense that the entrepreneurship, the opportunity that we've been giving out, how do you
Yeah.
relate that to a telesales in a telesales situation? Like, how do you connect that to how it's going to lead to your entrepreneurship, to your ownership at the end of the day? Because a lot of
See,
people are saying that
simple thing is, Rohit, I didn't join the business to do direct marketing. Like a lot of people, when they tell us that, okay, you know what, I didn't join the business to, now I'm running a BPO. I've become a telecaller. But when I joined the business, right, I was into direct sales and advertisement. But did you join the business because you wanted to do direct sales or face-to-face advertisement? And because initially when I started in the company, my intent with which I joined the company was to run a business. Now, there was no condition over there that whether it's going to be face-to-face advertisement or whether it's going to be tele-advertisement or whether it's going to be digital advertisement or whether it's going to be whatever, right? Whatever sort of advertisement. So there was no conditions over there. Only if it is direct advertisement, then I'm going to do this. Only if it is this, then I'm going to do it. In fact, I look at this as it's a great platform for the entrepreneurs now, because when I look at this, right, I never got to explore this aspect of the business. I never knew that my business could be run, on a telemarketing platform. And now we're also getting into the digital space. We're working on it, right? And soon now there's going to be another tangent, which is going to be into digital, phase. And now we have three streams of revenue. One is going to be face to face, one is going to be tele advertisement, and then there's also a digital phase that we're getting into, right? So if people are looking at this and going like, how do I connect or how do I resonate this with, being an entrepreneur? 100%, there are a lot of entrepreneurs in this world who are running business, right? Into tele advertisement. There are a lot of entrepreneurs in this world who are running business into digital marketing. There are a lot of entrepreneurs in this world who are running business which is into direct advertisement. So every business have their different ways of generating revenue. Now, right now, the lockdown has taught us or allowed us to operate in this fashion, but we never knew that we could do well even in this platform. And now we know that we can do well even in this platform. So number one thing is, I think you need to be very, very clear that did you join the business to just do face-to-face advertisement, or did you join the business, because you wanted to run a business? Look at restaurants now. Soon, when restaurants are going to open up, they're going to have a whole new method of getting people, in the restaurant, right? Probably now they might not be like everybody sitting together. Probably they'll be having maybe two people sitting together, and then there'll be two empty chairs or three empty chairs, and then two people again sitting together, something like that, right? But they all are going to adapt to, there's going to be a whole new way of now running business. Now, restaurants are not going to go like, oh, but initially my business was, I was never on Zomato. I was never on any of these food delivery platform, right? I had a lot of people coming to my restaurant and eating, right? So I don't need to get onto the food delivery. Why? Because till now I was serving food at my restaurant. So why do I get onto all these food delivery, right, platform? But now in the lockdown, what option do you have? They had to get onto this platform even if they didn't want to. So every business has evolved, every business has adapted to, a new method, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong in it. But that's what being a real entrepreneur is, right? Evolving, adapting, being flexible. If you have this fixed mindset, okay, I am only going to run my business in this fashion, then, the world is changing really fast. And you need to also keep evolving with it. I hope everybody understands this. So you can't just keep working the same old way, because if the world is changing, you need to also evolve with it. We can't keep using the same old method. So I hope that answers the question here.
This will be a continuation to the same question.
Yeah.
This is been asked by VIP 17 1709, who says, on what
Okay.
things do you focus on to build the new guys when you recruit them for new territory? So what do you focus on?
Okay.
What things do you put on building the new guys on?
Okay, I think the first thing what I really want to focus on is ensuring that I'm training my new person on the systems. He need to really understand the basics of my business. So what I do is I spend a lot of hours, in fact, training my people and understanding the basics of my business, and I can probably share with you guys what are the kind of the topics that I run with them. So maybe that can help. Give me a sec. Okay. So what I do is I have some of these topics which I really start focusing on training them from day one. So I think the first thing what I want to do is I want to ensure that they really understand my industry. They need to really understand the marketing industry because a lot of people come from non-sales and advertisement field. So I need to ensure that these guys really understand the marketing industry and understand the entire sales process and understand the mentality that they need during the sales process. So that's number one thing which I train my new guys on. The second thing that I train them on is the product. I need to ensure that these guys get a chance to interact with my client and learn from them directly. So they need to have a detailed understanding of the product that they're going to be selling. So I do ensure that there's at least a couple of sessions and trainings being organized, which is only about the product. What is the product? What are you selling? Everything, details, specification, everything, right? The third thing what I train them on is understanding the presentation, like, the entire sales presentation. What are the components of a sales pitch? And understanding all the steps of, that leads to a sale. So I think those are the things that so basically understanding the sales process and the methodology of, generating a sale. So that's one thing that I train my guys on. Another thing also I train my people on is, also understanding, aspects like time management, because this is something we don't really, train our new people on, because we all are working with this concept of working from home. It's very new to everybody now. So a lot of guys who are working from home, half of them who've not worked before, or people who worked before, but now they don't have a job. They all are getting now used to with the concept of working from home. So they don't know how to manage their time at home, because they also do tend to get a lot distracted with different things. So one of the things that I also train my people on is time management. That's, I think, one thing that I really focus on. And also, I think another aspect that I start training my people on is money management, because what tends to happen is when you're working from home, you don't really have a lot of expenses. You don't really look at then the money aspect here, because you go like, I don't have a lot of expenses, so it's okay if I don't make a lot of money. But I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people are making at the moment, right? Instead of going like, let me build my cash flow and let me ensure that I have right, more profit stored in my account. What everybody is doing is everybody is relying on all the savings they had, and they're using up all their savings. And instead of that, I think people can start saving more, and they can start managing the expenses better. So I think that's one thing that I train my new guys as well. So I think these are a few things that I train my new guys on. And then also ensuring that, you're giving them the necessary exposure. I do organize a lot of calls for my new guys. I do ensure that a lot of international speakers, a lot of different partners, from different cities are coming and educating my new guys on, because they need to really understand everybody's journey and their experience and their background. So I think that's one thing that you can do for your new guys. So there are a lot of things that you can do, but I think these are specifically a few things which I train my new people on. So systems and mentality, everything what you did earlier, but the only thing is now you need to just spend more time in, you need to again have a structure in place, a daily structure. What are you going to train them in the morning? What are you going to train them in the evening? For me, morning is all about training them on the mechanics. Evening, it's all about me building their mentality. Because alone mechanics is also not going to be enough. I need to also train and build their mentality. So evening, I spend a lot of time in training them on mentality, and morning, I spend more time in training them on mechanics. So I hope that helps.
Okay, I'm going to ask. This is a question from Manikwa 289. I think, and she asked, how do we explain to the new guy the connection between the entrepreneur opportunity and telecalling? So the one connect point.
So I just,
You
I
want to
think
repeat?
I just answered. I think I just answered that question, Rohit. I think it's a repetitive question because the connect is very, very simple, right? At the end, when you're running a business, right? What is running a business, right? You're gonna sell something, right? You're gonna generate some revenue, and every business does that, right? There's no business in this world that runs without sales. Sales is the bloodline. Without that, you cannot run a business, right? Because that helps you derive your profits, right? Now, whether you're doing tele advertisement or whether you're doing digital advertisement or whatever you're doing, right? That's the core of your business. For me, I know I've accepted that this is the core of my business now. Not that I'm not working on other processes, but I know that for a good period now, tele advertisement is going to be the core of my business, right? And I'm looking at building my business right from there. Simple. So for me, tele advertisement is just a platform for me to help build my people. And definitely there are a lot of skills that you can learn even in tele advertisement. Like one of the most important things that you learn is you learn how to connect. You learn how to connect with people because remember, you cannot see somebody. You're talking to a person over the phone, right? And it's a little different than doing face-to-face advertisement because here it's little because here you're not going to be able to completely express yourself the way how you did earlier, right? But definitely you can also express yourself through your tone, right? Because again, customers can sense it, right? They can sense it, they can feel it in your tone. So you definitely get an opportunity here to work on your tone. It helps you also. You also need to work a lot on your body language because that's also one way how you connect with people over the phone. Like I believe in this that motion creates emotion. So when my people are doing their calls, I always tell them that don't sit at one place and make those calls. Make sure that you're walking or you're doing something because when you do that, you're able to express yourself better over the call. So I think that's one thing. The other thing also, you learn the art of negotiating, which is one of the most important skills that you learn through the tele advertisement platform, right? Personally, I think one of the things that you also learn through tele advertising is you learn how to build that trust. It's a little difficult, when you're talking to people over the phone. It was a lot easier because when you spoke to people face to face, I think when people would see you, you could build that kind of trust. But now when you're talking to people over the phone, obviously the effort that you put in to build that trust is a lot more, right? So you have to be very, very cautious because right from the time when you give your introduction, that's the time when you're actually creating that first impression, right? So definitely, it also helps you build a lot of trust. It helps you build a lot of credibility. You also work on your relationship building skills, right? You also develop your closing techniques, and all of these skills are very, very crucial when you're running a business because all of these things that you need, all of these skills are eventually they're crucial skills that you need as an entrepreneur because as an entrepreneur you have to negotiate all the time. You got to negotiate with your clients, you have to negotiate with your investors, you have to negotiate with your team, you have to negotiate with your partners, you have to negotiate with your VCs. This is one of the most important skills that you can learn through tele advertisement, right? Building trust, again, this is one of the most important skills that as an entrepreneur I need to possess. I need to be able to build trust with my clients. I need to be able to build trust with my investors. I need to have trust with my I need to build trust with my team. That's one of the most important things that you learn. The other thing also which you learn is you learn how to be very, very patient. So tele advertisement is also one of the process that's helping you how to be very, very patient, right? And as an entrepreneur you have to be very, very patient, right? Like that's one thing that we all are learning right now in this crisis. We're learning how to keep ourselves going without losing enthusiasm, without losing our patience, right? And tele advertisement definitely helps you build a lot of patience. And one of the most important things that you learn with tele advertisement is you learn how to even smile when you can't even see the person. You learn how to smile because that again reflects in your tone, right? And I think these are just few things which is it. There is definitely a lot of connect to being an entrepreneur because all the skills that you're learning in tele advertisement will eventually help you, right, over the long term, right? When you do see yourself getting into the ownership situation, right? And more than that, I think it is also helping you build a new skill because tele advertisement itself is a new skill. And look at the beauty of this, right? We all have mastered the skills over the last 3 months and 4 months. Companies take years to develop a platform like that, and something that we adapted to just in less than 3 months and 4 months time. And the reason we could do that is because the way how the training has been provided to us, right? We've not been trained to run a direct advertisement business or a digital marketing business or a tele advertisement business. We have been trained on a system, right? A system that works for every product. Doesn't matter whether it is in tele sales or whether it is in face-to-face sales or whether it's in digital sales. It's like, when you go to a driving school, right? You don't take your own car. You just go there to learn the driving skills. You learn the mechanism of driving, and then you can drive any car. And that's exactly what this business does. It's an industry, it's a platform which helps you develop those skills, right? Learn the process in the system that works in almost, I think, every business. So tomorrow, even if I want to start a restaurant business, right? I think I can use all the skills, right, in starting a restaurant chain. Or even if I want to start a boutique, I think I can use all of these skills in starting a boutique, right? So definitely these are life skills. These are not skills which are going to stay with you, it's just going to be temporary. These are life skills. Plus, it also helps you, have a better personal life, because I think all of these skills you also need in your personal space, in your personal life, the relationships that you have with your friends, with your family. It's not, like right now, like a lot of people, are finding it very, very challenging to, stay at home and, I think we're spending a lot of time with the family. We've never spent so much time with them. There's so many times there are arguments, there are, a lot of, conflicts, right? And we're learning how to deal with that. We're learning how to be very, very patient in that situation, right? So I think definitely any sort of any skill is something that will always help you. That these are life skills and they're going to stay with you forever. So definitely there's a huge connect between tele-advertisement and being an entrepreneur.
Hey, thanks. I'm going to cut you short over there. Sorry, we're running out of time. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for the thank you so much for doing this. It has been a great session. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you so
us.
much.
And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so
Take
much. I
care.
hope it helped.
Yeah, I'm sure if everybody had a good session as well. Thank you for answering all the questions as much as you could. And yeah, that's all. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Take care
Thank you,
and
Rohit.
hope to see you again.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much, people. I'm sorry we're coming to an end of this session. Thank you for joining us, and thank you so much for being a part of this. Hopefully, you guys had so much to learn. I've picked up a lot of points of learning from this session. And yeah, sure. Okay, we'll see you next week again. Please stay in touch with us or follow us on our Instagram pages. Follow the Palladium group. Follow Lyric on the Instagram and Facebook pages. And until then, I'll see you next week. We will be putting up our new speaker probably on Monday, Tuesday. Until then, take care, be safe, and have a good evening and a good week ahead. Bye, guys.